He does well.
Look, we all saw that Umenga match he had, that last man standing Umenga match at the Royal Rumble 2007, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
And we were there.
Yeah. If he can drag Umenga through it.
Here's John Cena he's perfectly fine. You know, he can, like, is he gonna go out there and wrestle 5-star classics every time? No, and that then he's not expected to. But when the time comes, like, you know, he, like I said, like granted, like, I've seen him wrestle great matches against Shawn Michaels. I've seen Chris Masters wrestle a great match against Shawn Michaels.
Right.
But like you said, you bring up that match with Umenga, like we had. Going into the Royal Rumble, like, all right, this is gonna be trash. But I remember being there. Thinking,
it was good.
This was like good. We were shocked. We kept turning to each other like, wait, I'm not tripping, right? Like, this is good, right? Like I'm not. But he's and like I said, like, you know, and this is one of those matches where he's on point, you know. And he's feeding off that, you know, that Philly crowd that's just hating him. They hate him so much.
And I was gonna say, like, he was getting a lot of boos at that time, but like he really got boos in Philly because he always gets boos in Philly. Right. But like that crowd was definitely, and they popped like crazy for Seth.
Yeah,
he came out there with his briefcase, you know, and like they were just like, yes. And was it a no DQ match? Well, or all triple threats are, right?
Yeah, all triple threats are.
Which I didn't know until like 4 months ago.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was always just like, well, I mean, I guess they're just gonna let them use the tables, like whatever, the match. And then I had no idea that was like just it was fine in the match. Like I was just like, the refs let him get away with murder, but whatever.
I think if it's outside of the ring with a table, like putting somebody through a table, it is legal. If you were to bring that said table inside the ring and set it up and use it, illegal.
That's what's crazy though is like if I hit you with a chair outside the ring, that's a DQ.
Right. Exactly. What if I hit you with the stairs?
I think it is no DQ though, because J&J Security got like involved very quickly in that match, or not very quickly, but they got involved in the match at one point, attacked Brock Lesnar, or they tried to attack Brock Lesnar, and he suplexed both of them.
Yeah, he suplexed both of them, and then also later in the match got them in an F10 because he had both of them on their shoulders, and was just like, "Boop, you're all done."
And John Cena got them both in a double attitude adjustment as well. Mm-hmm. Which that was one thing, you know, about this match as well, is like you saw exactly like how strong John Cena is.
Oh yeah,
this man, like, for one, put two grown men on his shoulders. But you saw how strong both John Cena and Brock Lesnar were. You see John Cena put two men on his shoulders and flip them over onto the mat. You see him pick up, like, essentially like deadlifts, like squat a 300-pound man, and Brock Lesnar, who's hanging on to him like a monk. He's got the Nakamura locked in, and John Cena gets up off the mat, you know, just dead weight, you know.
Now, Brock Lesnar in his fighting days had to cut to make 265, which is the cap in the UFC heavyweight division. What do you think he's hanging out at, not fighting and wrestling in WWE? Like, he's got to be north of 300, right?
I don't know. It depends, too. Sometimes he would be, like, slimmer when he was, like, flirting with going back to the UFC. Like, I don't think this was one of those times, though. I think, well, I don't know. He seemed pretty, like, slim for... Sometimes he's bigger than he has been.
He does have knee braces on in this.
Yeah, match. I noticed that too.
I was like, what's happening right now?
What were some of the things that happened in this match?
He's billed at 286.
Okay.
What are some of the things that happened in this match that you remember? I remember the two table spots for sure. That happened pretty close together, if I remember correctly. Like, maybe it wasn't a table spot. Someone got put through a barricade, maybe. Maybe it was Lesnar got put through a barricade. But then Lesnar
Cena tackled Lesnar through the barricade, which was awesome.
And then almost, like, pretty close after, Seth Rollins jumped off the top rope onto Brock Lesnar, onto the table, right?
Right. Yeah. Cena sets him up, and then...
Did we lose Red?
Yeah. Lesnar's just hanging out over there. Let me put him through a table.
Yeah, that I remember like watching that being like, whoa, like I did not remember how fast this match was, number one, and just how crazy, like it was almost like a train wreck sometimes, but in a really good way. Like shit was just happening left and right.
It's Cena sets him up on the table and Rollins puts him through it. That was a lot of that kind of strategy, which is like I love like whenever a match has good psychology. And so in this one, it was like, all right, like obviously, like I don't like you, John Cena. You don't like me. I'm Seth Rollins, but like neither of us is going to beat this guy by ourselves. So like our best bet is to wear him down, make him a non-issue, which is kind of like what this was. And then they sort of had like a little one-on-one match.
Right.
And and it looked like it was about to be over whenever Rollins looked like he was about to he hits him with the Phoenix Splash of all things.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is going on?
Because it's like it's the crowd, and the crowd is like into it at this point. They're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Hits him with the Phoenix Splash, and doesn't Brock like come in and just like suplex the shit out of him,
throwing everyone everywhere.
He deadlifts him, and it was like, nope, get the fuck out of here. Now,
man.
There is a similarity between the two matches I want to talk about really quickly, but it's probably just a very nitpicky thing for me. Now, I watched the Triple Threat first, and Cena, of all people, does a Michinoku driver.
Cena. John Cena.
Michael Cole never calls it a Michinoku driver. But then I watched the Nakamura Sami Zayn match, and Sami Zayn pulls out a Michinoku driver. And of course, Graves is right on top of it and calls it a Michinoku driver, which is like a year later.
Well, that's probably because the old man doesn't even know what the Michinoku driver is. So he probably doesn't know what to even call it. Triple H was back in the headset going, yeah, call it.
This is good.
This is such good shit. He took that phrase from Vince.
Power slam, get it.
But going back to this match, I feel like this was a moment in time where all three of these performers were just hitting it like they were all doing great. They had the nice like, will he or won't he get his 16th world title like with John Cena, which made it interesting. Like obviously having Seth involved was like because he was like just coming up at that point. He hadn't won. He was going to win the title, in a.
I don't think Cena had won. No, Cena hadn't won at 16 at this point.
No. He was going to like if he won, he would have been at 16.
Yeah, like they mentioned that in the commentary. Like is he going to tie the record? Is he gonna do it?
So that was like the good like build up they were doing with Cena. Brock, you don't have to do anything with Brock. He's a champ, and he'll just throw you around the ring, Suplex City, bitch. But like I felt like the stories they were telling with all three of these were great, and what they did in the ring kind of showed where they were at the time. Because Cena pulled out a Michinoku driver. Like that's insane. Why would he do that unless he was really wanting to get that 16th world title? Like he's reaching in to get it. And I just love that kind of thing in a match, that kind of attention to detail in a match.
That kind of psychology is like, look, man, I got to pull out all the stops. I got to do something. I got to do stuff I don't normally do. And that's something that I like. Again, going back to Japan, that I've always loved. Like you have guys in like back in the Gap. You had guys with finishers, obviously, but they also had signature moves.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't anything to see somebody like Kawada end a match. Like win a match with a signature move more so than a finisher. But then there are like these super finishers that you would only see like once every like 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But you like once you saw it, you're like, what the hell was that? And then you see it again and you're watching a great match and like they're pulling out all the stops and you're thinking like, is he gonna bust that out? Is he gonna bust it out? And it's kind of like this sort of thing here. With Cena and this Michinoku driver, you see him doing stuff like exactly like you said, like it sells the fact that he wants that 16th championship.
And to what you're saying about Seth Rollins, like as well, hitting that Phoenix Phoenix splash, like come on, man, like that's kind of the same thing with Seth. He was like, I got to pull out all the stops too if I'm going to beat these two titans of pro wrestling. He gets his moment later in the year, but. I thought it was. I forgot how good this match was.
Right.
And I didn't expect it to be this good when we watched it live. I think Rhodey and I watched this live, like not at the arena, but like I think we watched it together.
No,
we didn't watch it together.
I was in Vegas at this because I remember I didn't see this match live. I watched the Royal Rumble live on my phone in a casino in Vegas, and I was like, "God damn, Roman Reigns!"
Oh yeah, but maybe I told you it was great then. But I remember being like, "Oh my gosh, this is not what I expected this match to be. It was so much more."
Right.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's one of those. I mean, I don't know if the fact that like the expectations were so low is what helped it out, but I mean, it was a lot of fun. The pacing was good. I mean, it was just about everything was from good to great. The selling was great. There's one point where Seth Rollins is just flying all over the place. I want to bring up two parts. There's one part where Cena and Lesnar are locked up, and Rollins just comes out and just jumps off the top rope and just like lands on top of him, like knees Lesnar in the head.
This was the deadlift from the Kimura you were talking about earlier, and then
Cena had just picked up Lesnar off the mat. They're still locked up, and Rollins just flies up and just like lands on both of them. And then there's another point where Rollins is flying off the top rope, and Brock Lesnar catches him on his shoulders.
I want to talk about that too.
Like, I mean, I've seen someone doing a crossbody and getting caught. I've seen that. It's then again, the physics of catching somebody like that. Well, I mean, obviously it's difficult. You need the strength to do it. It's a lot easier than having someone like land right on your shoulders. And the fact that Brock Lesnar is able to catch this 200 and something pound man on his shoulders, is the man's an absolute monster.
He really is. What other thoughts do you have about this match? I have to say it is probably one of the best triple threat matches I've ever seen.
It's definitely up there. It's definitely, like I said, like the difficulty in a triple threat match is it's really easy to get into that whole let's say it's me, you, and Rhodey. It's very easy.
One of us takes a powder on the outside.
Exactly. Like you take a big move and you roll to the outside, and then it's me and Rhodey, and then we just keep.
They did that in this, but like they also had a lot of innovative 3-person sequences that were that kept you really into the match. And I think to what you were saying with Seth Rollins just pops out of nowhere, he's good at that because Seth Rollins does that. And I think that was another thing that really added to this match was those sequences that didn't keep you where Brock's on the outside waiting for 5 minutes, or Cena's out there, for 3 or 4 minutes until, this happens. There was a lot of mixing it up, I think, that did very, very well.
And whenever there's that one point where Lesnar does take a powder on the outside, but I mean they earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they put him through a table.
And not only that, but Cena had just put him through the barrier.
Yeah.
And then he put him into the steel steps, and then laid him on the table, and Rollins put him through it. I mean, yeah, if anyone deserves to take a small break after that, it's after that,
I think the announcers did a great job too. Like they put over this match in really great ways. I think. Who was the announce team on this?
JBL, Michael Cole, and I think that may have been it.
Just Cole and JBL. Okay.
Yeah.
They did a really good job too. I think.
Yeah, because JBL shows up in the Rumble later on and gets eliminated almost immediately.
Seems accurate.
Which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah.
No, I was watching this match with somebody who doesn't, normally watch wrestling, and they were like, "Wait, how do they know when it's coming?" Like you were talking about with the 3 people, like one of them would always be stopping one of the other pinfalls, so that way you're like, "Oh no, is this how it's gonna end?" Nope, John Cena pops up. Oh, is this how it's gonna end? Nope, Seth Rollins pops up, and it interrupts it all the way. Like they were about to carry out Brock Lesnar on a stretcher. And then he's deadlifting, suplexing him everywhere. Come on. So it like you guys were saying, it was little things that they were just like, okay, spinning plates, but we just got to make sure they're all spinning around the same time. And sometimes you got to take the break so the crowd can fully like kind of take a break